the fixtures tonight, Wolves against West Ham, and that makes me think Matheus Cunha. And this was Matheus Cunha, who has been speaking to The Guardian in the recent break about his future. I couldn't leave the club in the middle of the season, in a difficult situation in the relegation zone, but now we're close to achieving our goal of staying up. But I've made it clear that I need to take the next step, says Matheus to anyone who cared to listen. I want to fight for titles, for big things. I have potential. In other words, if I'm going to win big things, it ain't going to be with you, Wolves. Now, he's acted upon those comments. He's been a busy lad, Simon. One moment he's telling that to The Guardian. The next minute, he's putting this message out on Instagram.
Hey guys, Cunha here. I only come here to talk about the noise around my name, the interview that I give, and show my point. I don't think a lot of people read the interview.
No, we can see Matheus Cunha on Instagram, but we couldn't hear him. And basically, Simon, you don't need to be Einstein to work out that he somewhat backtracked on that.
Sure.
That his comments had been taken out of context. And what I really meant was that as long as I pull on the Wolves jersey, I'm here for your guys, and I will do my job.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is this.
But I took that anyway. I mean, I didn't take away a massive amount of offence on behalf of the Wolverhampton Wanderers fans that seems to be the confected outrage that's now brewing around this particular set of some conversations.
No, but come on. This is him redefining the narrative. The narrative that he set.
No. I mean, I think it's pretty clear in most people's minds that when he signed a new contract, that it was as much to protect the football club as it was to achieve an outcome for himself. I mean, Cunha is one of those players that people think very highly of, but perhaps they don't think as highly of his behaviour, but his ability they rate. And there was always an inevitability about him perhaps leaving Wolves in the summer. The fact that he has actually signed a contract to protect Wolves' interests, I know has been sort of counteracted by suggesting to everybody that he is for sale, and that means that any commercial negotiations might be prejudiced, but then there might be a release clause in his new contract. So I'm not really offended by someone stating the bleeding obvious. The smoke and mirrors that we all have to endure, which is, it's like that skit that someone did years ago, and it was on social media, where this footballer stands in front of the camera and says, I love it here, I love it here, I want to spend the rest of my life here, unless I get exactly what I want, and if I don't, I'm off. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That skit that was played out on social media is the reality of what happens. Players are as loyal as they feel they need to be.
But there is a bit of that here, Simon. If you're a Wolves fan, you hear Cunha, and you heard some of the callers yesterday, not having him. It's as simple as that. Not having him. He wants to achieve big things. Really? Not with us? Really?
Well, no.
Well, on your way, son.
Well, he's not going to achieve big things at Wolves, because with respect to what Wolves have
But
become,
why sign a new deal, which runs until June 2029? I know that helps the club.
But we know why. Because it insulates the club against the dawn raid that some big club might think they're able to do on the player and subsequently prejudice the club. So rather than turn it into a negative, because he's, for whatever reason, he's allowed himself to be put in a situation where loose lips sink ships. He's probably spoken quite freely about the ambitions that he has, and then got himself caught up in his own mouth, and then realised that the reality of that is that it blows back, and people like us have gotten hold of it.
He's one of many who does something like that. What would you be? How would you feel if you were Jeff Shea this morning?
I'd say
at Wolves.
Not necessary, but I would say actually the bigger picture for me is I've got you on a contract, so I can control the narrative anyway. So you can say what you wish, and his actions are better than his words, because his actions have signed a contract.
Yeah.
So whilst we might not like the idea, we do live in a world where, what is up is down, we're through the looking glass. Players tell you one thing, and the polar opposite applies. We all know that Virgil van Dijk will have had conversations with his representation about what a deal might look like. It might not be the deal that he wants at this moment in time, and it might not give him surety or certainty right now, but there's no parallel universe where conversations haven't happened. And then we do this silly little dance for the purpose of media shows.
Caused by whom?
Who caused
the
by
player?
Whom? Well,
brought about by whom? This has been brought about by Cunha.
Yeah, it's been brought about. Of
course it is.
It's been brought about by an interview that he perhaps didn't have to do.
Correct.
So then, what do you want?
Spare us.
Radio silence.
No, but
the players spoke.
Spare us all this nonsense, though.
I
mean, on one breath, I've made it clear that I need to take the next step. I want to fight for titles, for big things. I have potential. I mean, yeah, fine. We'll do that. But why then did you sign a longer term deal that runs till June 2029 and expect the Wolves fans to back you, that you're here to stay? He's not here to stay. He's out of there the first chance he gets.
The Wolves fans won't back him. They'll back him as long as his performances are good.
I'm amazed that you're being so understanding of Cunha's motivation for
because
this.
I'm a pragmatist. In this situation, I think most people would have suggested that he was a better player than the current environment he was playing in. He was the reason at times, and some Wolves fans are saying, when I know it was saying yesterday, actually, because of his disciplinary record, he's got himself banned from 7 games, so actually in as much use to us as you think he might be. But on the field, when he's at it, on it and across it, he's the best player in that side. Right? So with that in mind, there is always going to be a position that comes along where if a bigger club fancies him, he's going to go. The advantage of what he's done, rather than what he's said, is that Wolves no longer are a hostage to fortune about the economic value they can capitalise on him. Now, whether the Wolves fans want to become all emotional about the fact that a player that was inevitably going to leave has told you the truth rather than a pack of porkies to suggest that he's got his heart with the Wolves fans, kissing the badge every single minute, and he's out of the door quicker than a quick
kiss the
thing.
badge. I saw him in a series of pictures last night.
Because he's allowed to at this moment in time.
God.
What you want from a football player, in all honesty, as a former owner, is the best version of themselves for as long as they're contractually obligated to be so. And if you want to sell them or they want to go,
honesty as well, don't you?
he's just giving it to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? In 2 different versions?
He signed a contract, so the football club...
To suit him?
No, of course not.
To suit him, he's giving you honesty in 2 different versions.
He signed a contract with a football club that commercially benefits the football club, and I'm assuming that as a result of this contractual position, it also gives him some sort of degree of certainty that in the event that a bigger football club, of which there are quite a significant few in the Premier League, might want to buy him, Wolves do not get their metaphoric pants pulled down.
Yeah,
like every other club does.
You're talking from an owner's perspective.
I'm talking from the real perspective of what football players, what football clubs, and how it really works, rather than the la-la land of emotion.
So you've got no issue at all with your player going into the media and saying, do you know what, to the Guardian, I cannot do what I want to do at this club. It's too small. I need a bigger challenge at a bigger club, and that's basically my situation. Then goes on Instagram. Sorry about that. I don't really know what I was thinking.
I don't know what he said. We couldn't hear it, but I don't know whether I would like that or not. Probably not.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that his actions have actually put me in a better position. The player, let's be honest about it. Could that player have not signed a new contract in January?
Oh yes, I agree with you on that.
And the net effect of that would have been what to Wolves?
Well, they
disadvantaged.
Would be, sure.
So now they've got some equilibrium in the conversation about where the player goes and some value in it. But the players talked a little bit out of turn.
In the meantime, what do the fans do?
Which would you rather have? The player.
I'd rather have him not losing all credibility by speaking to the Guardian.
But his credibility with whom?
Wait, in the wider public, with the Wolves supporters. Have you heard about Cunha? He wants out of here. Yeah, he's saying we're not big enough. He wants to go to the next step, titles, big things. Yeah. Not with us. Well, really? Is that what he thinks?
But I think.
All right.
But I also think.
Let's see about that. Then he's on Instagram. Now, what I really meant was, come on, Simon. Even Vitor Pereira's bought into what he's saying. He's committed. This is the present.
Yeah,
the future, I don't know.
Well, that's true.
Well, brilliant.
But today you can bank on. Tomorrow you have to wait and see what happens in it. The bottom line is that as long as he performs for Wolverhampton Wanderers in the best possible version of himself, I think most football fans, beside the obsessive fringe that don't see anything other than people dying at a football club as complete loyalty, are realistic enough to go, you know what, if we can get proper dough for him, and as a result of it, given the fact that our football club has been running on fumes economically because the owners have changed their model, then maybe that's the lesser of two evils.
Might put it out there on that very basis. Wolves fans, have you bought into the fact that, Cunha, you know what, we're going to get top money for him, let him say what he wants? Is that your view? Or, hang on a minute, how can you say one thing one moment and another the next?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.